Hello, can you hear me? If you can hear me, I would be very thankful if you could let me know. I am seeing that the stream hasn't. Oh, the stream has in fact changed, and I should in fact be hearing myself. Yes, I'm definitely hearing myself. You have to give us a second, because this is pretty much the very first time we are doing something like this. This is a new thing to us. I think I can hear myself from the speakers. You have to give us just a little bit of a second. We will be starting our stream very shortly. I promise you that we have an interesting presentation for you. Too quiet. All right. Give me a second. You should be hearing me a little bit louder right now, I guess, but it's kind of difficult to tell. Give me a little bit of a second again. Oh no, I'm having some trouble here. Alright. Now it should be good. We should be good to go. Okay, so I don't know how many people are there. 8 people, that's great, 8 people. So, now without further ado, welcome you to the very first Caribou Digital Entertainment stream. We will be streaming live to you, we'll be talking about our game, and hopefully this will be interesting. I'm not alone here, my name is Tom, you can call me that. I wouldn't want to tell you my real name, although you can find it. Most of you probably also not just know my real name. We are joined here today by Mateusz, who is here with us. Mateusz, please say something.
Hi, I'm Mateusz. I'm the brain of Caribou Digital Entertainment, but Tomek is our voice, so let's hear what he can say to us.
Yes, today I will be doing most of the speaking. Sadly, we are not joined today by a third member of our team, Claudia, who couldn't make it today. But we are not sure if maybe she will appear later on. Sadly, right now she is not here with us. So we are just going to carry on. So what are we going to be doing today? First of all, hello, this is me. I'm here. You can maybe not see me because of the pipes that I have very thoughtfully drawn over my camera space. And I am also on the wrong slide. Give me a second. Yes, this is the first slide of our presentation today. We have prepared a PowerPoint presentation because we wanted to be a little old-timey on this. I am perfectly covered by the pipe actually. I need to be standing over here. I need to have headphones on because otherwise you'll be hearing everything. Yeah. So today we are going to be talking about Ghost of Fall, our game. A game that we have been making for a couple of years actually right now. And we also want to tell you everything about how it feels to be making a video game like that. Because many people today are making video games, and that's fine. We are happy because of that. And we believe that each one of those journeys of video games is different and interesting. We just want to provide you with ours, and we want to tell you how this looks to be making something like that. Today's presentation will be divided into basically 2 parts. It will be divided into the past and the present and also the future. The future and the present are basically one thing because we are still making it. We are in the process of creating the game. But before we get to the point at which we are right now in time, we are going to be giving you a little bit of a background on how it even started. that we even are making video games right now. This short chapter, I will try to keep it short. It started in 2014, basically, but we weren't making Ghost of Fall then. It's not that we are not making this game for 10 years, but we do have a 10 years story behind making video games together, and we want to tell you just a little bit about that story and how it all started. And it all started in 2014 when me and Mateusz, we met on the internet, through the magic of the internet, and I was making music and Mateusz was starting to make games. Mateusz, do you feel comfortable right now to tell us a little bit about how this period in time looked for you, how it felt?
So we were teenagers. Just keep that in mind when we tell you our story. So we were teenagers. We liked funny videos on YouTube, and once just we saw a funny video of some kind of convent, I guess.
Yeah, convention.
Convention, yes. And I've decided that, hey, it would be funny if I made some stupid video game. In that time, there were many stupid little games like on Newgrounds or other sites like that. So I've decided to make a small video game of that funny video, and we kind of vibing while we were making this game, because I made it with Tomek and a few other people in our little group. And we just had fun. We just had a lot of fun while making this little video game. And not only us, because when we finished in actually one day, our first video game.
Yes, the video game you can see on the left was made during
Yes.
one day, and it definitely shows.
The fun fact about this picture actually is that the picture on the wall is Tomek's cat.
Yes, this is my cat that is still very happily living at my home, and obviously he doesn't know he's in the game, but many people did, because, like Mateusz said, many people saw our creation, and this sort of gave us the feeling of it's cool to make video games because people actually pay attention to what you do, and you can also put a lot of your personal image into the video game that you are making. And this was an amazing thing to feel, and this is something that still fuels us to this very day. I'm going to advance with the presentation right now, if my computer lets me. Yes, as the slide says, it says adventure ambitions, and what this means is we have been making those joke video games, the video games for people to just laugh at for quite a while actually. Those screenshots that you can see here are screenshots of images drawn in 2019, 18, something like that. That was the time when we first sort of felt like we don't just want to make funny games anymore. I mean, games should always be fun, but what we wanted to make was something a little bit more serious, and we had a little bit of an idea how to do that. We both play games that center on stories, etc., etc. But this idea that you can see in here, it was a game with humans. You can see some human designs in there. It sort of fell apart. People didn't. I mean, we didn't really feel what we were making. It was just we were punching in the dark, and it kind of didn't work. But funnily enough, one of those sketches, the one I'm trying to show on the presentation, I don't know how I'm supposed to do this. One of those images is something that we sort of kept in the game we are making right now, the little sketch done in Microsoft Paint. But yeah, this idea kind of it grounds to a halt, and Mateusz kind of left the project for a while, and I was left alone with it. And in 2020, with the very same idea of a game that we had back then, I decided to maybe experiment a little bit on it, and I that was the very first time I came.
Tomek. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we are joined by Claudia. She actually made it. So
That's great. I'm very happy.
Hello, team.
Hello. I'm very happy you could make it, Claudia. We just started our presentation, so it's very good that you made it now. All right. Do you want to say something, or can I just continue with what I was saying?
I'm actually trying to find a way to simultaneously watch the stream. Do I just watch it on YouTube?
You should be able to. I have the stream on another computer so that I can see what's going on in case anything goes wrong.
I'll figure it out.
So it's definitely working on YouTube. I think it's not working on Steam, but I have no idea how to fix it right now, so I'm very sorry if anybody wanted to watch it on Steam. You won't be able to. Anyway, what I was saying that in 2020 I came up with Ghost of Fall, and I came up with Ward and Alec. You don't know who Alec is right now. You won't know that for quite a while, but you eventually will. Out of those two sketches, actually the bottom one became Ward. You can kind of see the resemblance. And later the same year, I was trying to make up some kind of a feeling for the game. And you can see in this drawing, it was kind of supposed to be a very mysterious, dark game. It sort of changed. It's not so dark right now, but yeah, I really liked the title. The title sort of came to me in a dream, and I kept it. And while I was working alone, I need to make a little bit of a break. You can see that the GIFs, I don't know how you're supposed to say it, are running very fast in this presentation, because we are making the presentation in PowerPoint 2000, so it kind of doesn't really handle it. But yeah, while I was working on the game myself, I obviously designed the main character, the Ward, that you can see right here. And I was also designing the world. I kind of wanted to, at first it was supposed to be a very abstract kind of a world, as you can see by the top drawing over the Phalanx, which they weren't even called Phalanx by then, were supposed to be kind of random, And I made a lot of bad autistic decisions in that time, like the pixel size of different sprites being different. And you can see this in the bottom picture, that every single object that is on the screen has different sizes. And that was a very bad idea, but it stuck with us until the demo of the game. But we've changed it right now, thanks to your feedback.
I'll interject a little. Actually, you call it a bad artistic decision, but I think it was part of the growing ideas for the art direction of the game. Because I remember the differing pixel sizes, like they were much bigger for the overworld and items than the character. And visually, I think it was something that allowed you, when you were at the time still learning the ropes of graphic design, and I was trying to get a feel of the game, it gave the game a little bit of a grittier look, and it was much easier to try to conceptualize those buildings when I was trying to improve.
It was definitely...
Or rather, yeah, just change the graphics from the demo. It was such a simpler workflow than we have nowadays when we're trying to do everything one-to-one. So, bad decision visually, maybe, technically, absolutely, but it was very good for getting the feel of the game right for us at the very beginning. So I think it's just, a step in an important direction by making a mistake.
you definitely need to make some mistakes sometimes to realize some things, and yeah, I think that mistake actually helped. Just like you said, and also it was just fun making the game like this. Like you said, it was a very simple workflow because you didn't even you didn't have to bother about are those two elements going to fit. I was just drawing whatever really came to my head, and it was fun, as you can see here on the slide. It was a lot of fun. But what I was doing later was a little less fun because I tried to put the game together myself in Unity, which kind of aged bad. Maybe it's good that we've abandoned Unity later on. Yeah, I had no idea what I was doing. I'm not going to focus too much on that slide because I was basically just throwing cubes together, as you can see on the bottom of this slide, until you could walk around. And what I really wanted to achieve with that was creating a sort of playable idea for someone to see and maybe see some potential in. And that actually worked out for me. I didn't really have to look far because I just found Mateusz again and he liked it. And we went straight to making our first demo of the game, which some of you might know. We'll be talking a little bit about that right now. First thing we actually had to figure out was actually working as a team of 2 people together. And it wasn't easy because before it was sort of like Mateusz did the games and I was just doing the music, the stuff that you can kind of slap on with all respect to music, but it will just seem cool. But we had to figure out ways of how to work together on such a big project and actually, well, maybe I will let the man himself speak. Mateusz, how did that feel for you when we had to sort of do that thing together?
So when I wasn't with Tomek working on a Ghost of Fall earlier, I was working on few solo projects. Again, funny little games like years before. But when I saw current state of Ghost of Fall, which you can see on the presentation, I actually felt the soul of the game. Actually felt like the game with the purpose, and it just kind of clicked with me. Like I was making these stupid little games for years, and now I would be able to make actually good game that I could just call something bigger than the stupid little games.
I'm always very happy to hear that because it's also an amazing feeling, and it was an amazing feeling back then, and it is an amazing feeling right now that you can make up an idea that people will like. And to me, there is no greater like compliment when somebody actually wants to work on the project. Of course, it's great if people just want to see where it's going, like all of you watching right now. That's a great feeling, but it's also great stuff when somebody wants to work. And I was very happy. That's what I remember when Mateusz came back to Ghost of Fall. So now maybe let's address something that's kind of maybe needs some addressing, because I think it's a very big feat of Mateusz here. We have chosen a very strange engine for our game. It's called ClickTeam Fusion, as you can see here. It's not a popular engine. There are very few games made in it. I will show some examples in a second. And it's kind of a quirky little engine. It's kind of weird to work with. We probably wouldn't have made that choice like ever, if not for the fact that we have on our own board the best ClickTeam Fusion user in the world, at least if you consider just the raw numbers. You can see here on the bottom that it's a ranking of time spent in this application worldwide. And Mateusz, whose nickname is Ravioli, is first. And he is first by almost 10,000 hours. So Mateusz basically can do anything in that engine. He is very humble, but he's a specialist on that. Mateusz, do you want to say a few words about how
Well-
great you are?
Well, I can't really say you about how great I am because this engine is bad, really like bad. But as Tomek said,
It's weird. It's special.
yeah. But as Tomek said, I can do basically anything you can do in this engine. So that's why we chosen it, because it's easy for us working in this engine. Just like Tomek tried to make the game in Unity, like whilst learning the ropes of the engine. It's so we just switched to Clicked Infusion because yeah.
And it was a good idea, at least, if I can say so. I like this engine, although I know nothing about it. We'll be talking about the engine a little bit later. Mateusz will. Yeah, those are just some examples of games made in this engine.
Yeah, sometimes the just choosing the tools that you know best is the best course of action you can do, even if they're not the best tools objectively.
Yes, and those are some examples of games. And by that time, we actually started our game development studio that we've called Caribou Digital Entertainment. There's not much to it. I have a flag over here. We've made those flags for ourselves, and I can now showcase it. I will not dwell on that too long. So, we had an engine, we had an idea for a game, but we knew that we were not going to just make this game like from the get-go. Oh yeah, money. That's true. Staying with Unity would have been terrible. We would have been in a really bad spot right now. What was I saying? Yeah, I was talking about we didn't really want to like start making the full game from the get-go because it was a colossal kind of thing in front of us. We didn't know where to start, so we decided let's make a small area with a small story that you can see over here. I mean, you can't see the story, but you can see the area that we went with. And some of you that maybe played the game, the demo that is now defunct, you can recognize this because this is actually the place where the demo took place. I did the sketch and then I did everything else basically, because by then I was working, graphically speaking, I was working myself alone. And here are some work in progress images of the demo itself. You can see the animatic of the intro cutscene that I sort of expanded later. You can see on the right the rotoscopy process of, just the original source and the end project of the animation of Ward drinking wine. You can see all the versions of the demo that we've made because it was just, the process looked like Mateusz made a version of the game, I would play it, I would give him feedback, and then he would make another one, and we sort of made it a habit of ours to give funny names to all the versions of the demos. You can see some of them here, but a lot of them are in-jokes that I'm not going to explain ever. And also at that time in the demo we have had to make a choice about what do we want to do with the voices of the characters, and we actually recorded the dubbing for the 3 characters that appear in the demo. Here you can see the voice actor of Ras acting his lines, and it was very fun. I have some videos of that, but I realized while preparing this presentation that those videos are just basically us fooling around, and it's not that interesting, so I stuck with just the photo that you can see here. And we eventually, slowly but surely, it took us a couple of months, but we have finished the demo version of the game, and we were thinking, what are we going to do now? So we definitely knew that we wanted to like keep making this game. This was important to us, and we knew and still know that it's difficult to keep making something like that with no resources, and more importantly, no time to focus on making the game, because we all have it's not the main thing we do right now professionally, because we also need to like live. So we had an idea that maybe we can reach out to people with a Kickstarter campaign, and the Kickstarter campaign seemed like a perfect opportunity, because we could, with the funds that we would get, we thought we would get from the Kickstarter, we could actually focus all of our time, start working full time just on this game. That was our main goal of making this Kickstarter. And, well, there's no point in saying more. The Kickstarter failed because we had no idea how to run a thing like that. We just sort of hoped it would somehow work out, maybe, but we didn't do an advertising campaign. We didn't reach out to too many people. It was just an experiment. It was fun. As you can see on the slide over here, a lot of the assets for the Kickstarter I was doing analog with a camera and a computer screen, and it was just fun. And it was also very fun that almost 20 people actually backed our Kickstarter with, again, no promotion at all, and some people liked it enough to pay money to see the game being made. Well, they did get the money back, but that's beside the point right now. On the bright side of that Kickstarter, well, first thing, the people that we reached actually liked it. Some people that backed the Kickstarter, we still know that are still with us right now on our Discord server that you might join if you haven't already, because there we are talking about it's the place where we give our monthly updates all the time. Second good thing that came out of the Kickstarter was sort of realizing that we might have not yet been ready to start working full time on the game. And well, basically the reception of the Kickstarter sort of told us that we need to do something better. We need to be more prepared for something like that. So after it failed, we decided to get better about it.
I remember you reached out to me and told me about the Kickstarter results of the Kickstarter campaign, and I was really impressed with how much support you received, despite having absolutely no publishing, no promotion. That was a lot of positive feedback and just interest from people for a game so small and so unknown. So yeah, while we need to come out with a bigger player demo next time before we actually attempt something like that again. Also, I think that was an important step. Didn't you actually feel kind of good about it? I think I remember you were also really positively surprised by the reception.
Yes, I was very surprised. But I also remember that it was just extremely stressful making the Kickstarter, but more so just coming out with the game to the people, because before pretty much nobody saw it. And right now back then we were like, okay, let's just show it to the internet. Maybe people will like it. Maybe people won't. There were people that really liked it. There were also quite a lot of people that didn't really like it. The demo, I mean, because the demo was flawed. We later deleted that for that very reason.
And we're improving on those comments, so
Exactly.
important feedback.
Yes. So one of the steps of getting better and making something better for all the people, for all of you, was coming to terms with the fact that a team of two is not enough for this. That I'm just because I was drawing everything, and I don't think I'm a terrible artist. I also don't think I'm that good, especially when it comes to bigger scale stuff. Uh, so we were also the stars kind of aligned here because, like you said, Claudia, you were already sort of there. Like you draw the cover of the Kickstarter, which you can actually see here, and you also draw this world, and it was around that time that you joined this project, and maybe you would like to say something about how it looked from your perspective.
Well, I was a little biased because I was like you gave me tidbits of updates here and there, and I think we were at the time and still continuously right now. We've had a very similar taste for how we we would like a game to present and for what we would like a game made by us to be. So I was obviously on board with the idea in the instant you told me about the game, and I felt really, really, really honored to be invited to this project. So I was very excited, and I was very happy with the way things were going at the time, and I was very invested from the very beginning. Uh, I thought the game has potential, and well, especially now that we've spent so much time working on it.
I can definitely tell, and I know Mateusz also feels like that. That when we saw the drawings you've made, especially the two that are right on screen right now, we also sort of, for the first time, saw the possibility of this game even looking good. Like, it also sort of opened our eyes about how this game should look and how it should feel, and yeah, it was great from our perspective as well. So it's good to know that it was generally like that.
We kind of just miraculously had the same idea for the aesthetics. I don't think I did particularly anything special. I just tried to put on paper what you've been telling me and the things that I have seen in your demo. So like I was if I think your art style is very inspiring and aligns a lot with my own likes. So
And
part of that is your success as well. Absolutely, 100% no scam. This is thanks to your wonderful narrative.
Thank you very much. That's nice to hear. We also, while in this stage of creating the game, we try to get some other artists on board. Maybe not as part of the core team, because we knew that it was a very big commitment to work on the game as much as you can. But here you can see two pieces done by artists who no longer, they still help us sometimes, because the drawing on the top is made by a concept artist, Alan, who I'll talk a bit more about him later. And he was doing some general concept art of spaces for the game. And this drawing on the top, it helped me very much with one of the drawings I redid later. And the drawing on the bottom is made by Agatha, who she was just drawing some general ideas of Felix and Felix spaces, Felix furniture, and stuff like that. It helps, and we are very thankful that we have artists that are interested in helping us. Maybe not working on the assets, but it helps a lot to have people who are going to help you with ideas. And ideas can come in many forms. You can have ideas just by people telling you stuff. People can also draw for you, and that is especially helpful while doing something like that. Something can really open your eyes, like that drawing on the top opened my eyes very much on the feeling of the game and etc. It's just cool. And finally, after 30 minutes, we are getting to the point at which we are right now. And that's the point where we have a team that is set. We have an idea that is extensively written, and we just like it. And we can focus on actually making the full game. As you can see, that's 2023 to right now, because we are still making it. That slide pretty much explains itself, because I just wanted to put to your attention that both me and Claudia, we put a lot of thought in what we draw for the game, because it's not just about making something look cool, it also needs to make some sense, and it need to fit into the puzzle that the game is. It helps that we are also the ones writing it, so we sort of just understand it. But here are some doodles that we make about the game and ideas that we later change into assets. And now, perhaps this is the most important thing that we should talk about. The story of the game. Because maybe I forgot to mention, but we are making a story-focused game. It's not just about, it's not a book or a movie that we are making. You have a lot of stuff to play in it. But mostly what we're focusing on is the story. And now we are going to talk a little about that. Claudia, do you want to say something about the story of the game?
Of course. Well, to not spoil too much and not to reveal our cards too early, the story didn't really change. The core of the story did not change from what Tomek had in mind before we started refining the game from the demo to the full game. However, a lot of important details that had to be put in place for proper world building, for proper character writing, that actually, that makes sense. Like, what this character acted a certain way in under those conditions, those kind of things, right? Just making believable characters and story and keeping the story cohesive. We've changed a lot there. So the core of the story being the story of Ward, the story of an explorer, of somebody who is very curious, above pretty much what would be considered standards for the society, for the societal norms of the world he lives in, and that's making him both exceptional and an oddity that doesn't really belong anywhere, and him pretty much trying to cope with it, trying to satisfy his hunger for knowledge, his curiosity, as well as trying to find a place for himself in the world. So pretty much this is this duality, this crisis is what kicks off the story, where as we put it, it's a midlife crisis, because Ward is not is not the youngest person in the game, and we are starting his personal journey of the game in the game from, I would say, the very middle of his journey. So after his trips, after his different developments and travels, journeys, he is quite literally returning home and rethinking his life when some really interesting stuff happens at a very unexpected time. Things out of his reach, but things that he really wants to do something with, and
very exciting things.
Very exciting things and life-changing things. So this formative story of a person going through a crisis is the main gist of is the main gist of the game, because we are very much basing the story, focusing it on the characters in the game, mainly Ward, of course, but so that would be about it. We are going on that journey with Ward.
Yes, and I think it cannot be stressed enough that no matter how much we compress the story, I believe that it shines in its entirety, which, well, we cannot just tell you right now because that wouldn't make any sense, but we do have a very extensive story for the game that obviously we need to compress to convince people to get to know it, but at least I personally, I always have a lot of trouble shortening the story because I always feel like it just loses a lot when it's not presented in its entirety. So
I think just showing the first chapter is going to be enough to get the gist of the story. You know, like
I really hope that you're right.
I know I'm right. You know I'm right.
Well,
Because
I
we
do.
can say it's, a formative journey of a character, and it's not really going to express well what the story is about, but the gist of it is we have a strange sort of alien, mm, how would you say it, odd society,
Yes,
odd
yes,
place.
definitely.
Yeah, and we have a character that's alien to that odd society, and we're trying to get into his head. Like the very first thing he does in the game is morally questionable.
Yes, exactly. And it's also like we tries to, from the very start of the story, give the player the gist of this is not exactly a normal world that we are in.
Yeah, and this is not a normal world, and Ward is not a normal dude for the for the
Exactly.
place.
He would also not be a normal dude if he was here with us, probably. He's just strange. He's special. And
Bro just doesn't belong anywhere.
yeah, and we love him very much.
Absolutely.
Moving on, we want to tell you a little bit. We Claudia already started on that, but we put a lot of work into the world building of our game, which might sound very vague, but you can see here that we do have a very extensive document. It's 80 pages long currently, that details a lot of stuff in the game that we have thought up. And we are very happy with what we have made, because we have created a new world, a world that is kind of foreign to us. I mean, it's not foreign to us, but it's foreign to humans. And we have put a lot of detail into it. We have made it really, because it's a crucial thing for us to create a world that feels real, that doesn't just feel like a facade that you are placed into and supposed to play, play along with whatever is happening on the screen. We want to create a world that the player just can get into, and he doesn't even really need to question, is this a world that could exist? And it's a pretty difficult thing, actually, because once you start caring about creating a world, there's really no going back from that. You just need to, everything needs to make sense, and we have even got to points where I remember, actually, I was talking with you, Claudia, about constellations on the night sky that should be seen. And I think we sort of got carried away because we started actually thinking about how the constellations should look, and we sort of realized it's not something that is going to be recognizable in the style of our game, and maybe we should like backpedal a little on the world building, because you don't want to get lost between all the fine details.
Yeah, this is why the document has 80 pages, and it both feels like it's not enough to cover everything, but also it's a mouthful, and if you're pitching a game, you definitely don't show up with 80 pages, including the game scenario, but also the very basics like the material culture, like energy sources, cultural important tidbits about how the Felex function, what's different between them and humans, despite being a parallel to human societies, and so on and so forth. It's it's a very funky thing to try to be serious about those things. Of course, you could just kind of wing most things about world building, but then it wouldn't be as comprehensive, and we believe it just wouldn't be as real if, for example, I have one headcanon in my head about something about fellow culture, and then Tomek would just have to remember it, or maybe he would forget, or maybe he would misunderstand it, and he would do something else in the game, completely like going against what I thought and what I put in game in some other place. So
Yeah, and it's generally how it looks is we just share between one another hundreds of ideas. Like I would sometimes in the middle of the night get up and write to Claudia or just in our common Discord server. I would say, hey, actually, Felex don't use X and Y, and instead they will use A and B, and it's just sometimes a little funny. But what this allows you to do is it makes drawing things and writing things easy later, because you don't need to come up with stuff. You just have stuff already waiting for you. You just need to.
But I also have to be the fun breaker. Often, like Tomek produces a massive wall of ideas, and later I read them and I wouldn't say rip them to shreds, because that's not what I do. I just try to make sense of it, but I instantly go into simulation sandbox in my brain, like, grr, would this work? Would this function? Does this make sense? Like with clothes, like with clothes last time, right? Like
Yeah.
we were discussing Felak fashion, and there was like a lot of gold incorporated there, and I was instantly like, but how do they have so much gold on the surface of the planet? And we have to discuss it. And pretty much the entire discussion was derailed into gold sources on Elcon.
Yeah, that's what the planet is called.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Oh no, I'm leaking deep lore, guys. Oh, I'm sorry.
Funny that you mentioned deep lore, because actually we are not obviously not going to tell you a lot of this stuff, but we are creating a lot of hidden stuff in Ghost of Fall. This is a very purposeful action on our part, and I have to say I love thinking of like, because when I play video games, maybe I should mention, I do sometimes play video games. There's nothing that I love more, and I know that I'm not alone in this. People really also like that. Just finding stuff that feels like, you shouldn't really be able to see this, you shouldn't really be here. And this is nothing new, maybe, to making video games, but I just wanted to mention there's a lot of that in Ghost of Fall. And if you like this kind of stuff, you definitely are not going to be disappointed when you play the game in the future, in the near future, might I add.
Oh no! If you like funky details, this is going to be up your alley. Tomek's doing, all the time he's resting, he's coming up with odd things to put in the game. He has to be stopped, but I can't stop everything. Some of those things.
I have a huge playlist of music that I when I go on walks in the night here where I live, I just dream up very convoluted ideas for the lore that I am often not really able to explain those ideas to neither Claudia nor Mateusz. Sometimes I'm not even able to understand them myself. But that's where the fun is, I believe, in trying to make the unknowable knowable for us. It very likely will remain very vague for you, but that's what we like. That's what we are going to do, and that's what you're going to like as well. We hope you're going to like it.
But don't worry, I'm keeping track of. I'm overseeing.
Yeah, it's
the
not going
game.
to it's not going to get too insane.
Yeah, it's not going to be like a mystery fest where everything's scripting and everything is like, what does this mean to? Oh my god, why are you making me think about this? Or is this like little patch of grass important to the lore of Ghost of Fall? Uh, yeah, there's going to be none of that. It's
I, I,
lots
ha-
of Easter eggs, but none of this.
I have to mention that I'm a very big fan of David Lynch and his movies and TV shows. So to some of you that might give you some idea of what to expect, but not exactly. It's not a rip-off. Anyway, let's not dwell on that too long because we can't tell you too much anyway. I wanted to give a short overview of how we draw our art for the game because it's a process that we are very proud of that took us a lot of time to sort of crystallize. Get it? Because phalanx of crystals on the back. Anyway, it took us a lot of time to realize how should we even work together because it was easy enough when I was doing it myself, but as we discussed before, it also wasn't really good enough when I was doing it myself. So it took us a couple of months to figure out a sort of a routine with Claudia where usually I come up with a first sketch of a thing. Like it's very basic, as you can see here. It's a sketch I did in Procreate of a location. Is very rough, which is why I'm not afraid to show it to you because it will look nothing like it probably in the full game. And then we just scale this sketch into the size of the actual game because the game is very, very, very low resolution. And then begins what we like to call the back and forth phase, which is I, for example, would do the flat colors of a space, then I would give it to Claudia. Claudia would add anything that she has to add and send it back to me, and then I would draw more. And we would just repeat this until we are just satisfied with what we've made. And then we just do some like small details and shading. Maybe it's also nothing new, but I think it's when you're working in a team, maybe it's good to share such an idea because for us it works great and it ensures that someone always has something to do, and that's very important.
It's like collaborating on a painting. We're just adding layers. Like
Yes.
turn-based painting combat.
And also what this ensures is that no mistake that a single person could make will remain in the final product because if I screw up with something, Claudia will fix it. If Claudia screws up with something, I will fix it. And with that in mind, we are very proud with what we are making. Here you can see some examples of a very early sketch of a location. On top here, it's a very old sketch that I made. I think actually a small callback. Maybe some of you have watched the first stream that I've made over a year ago on Steam, on the Steam Next Fest. I back then I would show the very same drawing that you can see on the top here, and on the bottom you can see the very same location, already scaled down and in the process of being made. Mostly flat colors. This is Claudia's drawing, so maybe you want to say something about this particular thing.
Yeah, about this particular area, maybe. This is exactly where I figured out. Yeah, I can draw. I can draw plant life. I can draw statues. I can draw like smaller objects like benches. No problem. But when buildings come into the scene, oh.
Yeah,
I really struggle with buildings, especially since we are working with like low res kind of pixel art textures and pixel art everything. But the buildings are pretty much monoblocks, so making them interesting, such large spaces, is quite hard. So I think I remember on when it comes to this particular space, I had no problem with adding detail and doing stuff like around the lake area. As you can see, it's pretty much finished. But the buildings, oh, the buildings! I just couldn't touch them. I was redoing them so many times, not a single time it turned out right. So I think this is why we even reached out to Alan because
Yes,
this is his
yes.
specialty.
That was
So
that was exactly the reason, because we wanted help with the buildings, and he actually did help us with one location. Sadly, he's a very busy man, so he's not available for help more.
the struggles of getting an architect.
Yeah, architects are very busy usually. That's also a piece of knowledge that might save your life sometimes. Uh, so that's how it works when it's not finished. And here's a location that we are very happy with already. It's maybe not finished. Maybe we'll do some extra stuff on it. But this is a location that you could see in one of our update posts 3 months ago in February. This is where the Rezaya video was taking place, and this is a location very early in the game. It's basically in the first 20 minutes of gameplay. Well, maybe actually not exactly, because there's something in the way that might stop you for some time, but let's not talk about that right now. You'll know when the time comes. But yeah, this is how it more or less looks when it's finished. You can see some trees on the left that are not fixed by Claudia. You can actually see the comparison. Those are trees that Claudia fixed, and those are my trees, and they look, well, they kind of don't look that great, but they eventually all do. That was all about locations, and locations are very important, but they are just one of the things that we draw. The other thing we draw are characters. They are called phalanx, and phalanx are, well, they are not humans, as you can maybe recognize if you look at the images here, but we sort of want to make them feel relatable for humans. Like I like to put it, they are meant to be foreign enough to not be associated with any specific group of humans, maybe. But they are also supposed to be human-like enough so that you can feel for them and that you can like them. And Claudia, would you like to say a little bit about what drives us when designing phalanx?
Uh, it's I think it's actually individual, maybe to you and me, because when I design them, I try to because you know they are cartoony. We can work with a lot of simple. We have to work with a lot of simple ways to portray a phalanx personality and status and everything in a very limited pixel space, because like those sprites on the top right, you know, they've got some more detail than the sprites that are going to be in game, and the sprites that are currently in game, because the sprites are much smaller. So we have to make the fashion, the colors, the expressions quite cartoonishly, not exaggerated, but a bit simplified. So this is we have to think about easy ways to portray those things, the personality and status in a limited pixel space and in different areas, in different phallic local cultures, but also we have the cute factor as you wrote it. We have to make them distinct, and you know, having a big snout and huge eyes is
Very helpful with that.
very helpful. Yeah. So when I draw them, I just try to think about. I try to keep the diversity of builds and fashion in mind, and try to make everything make sense. However, as I said, not everything translates into in-game sprites as well as maybe we'd like to. So that's why we have the portraits that show a little bit more detail and the body language, and we have the designs, which are material to work with and something that we just have to be okay with losing some of that design language in the game itself. So we do not overthink it, but we have to pre-plan it so it makes sense.
I actually, while you were talking, I realized that when I originally came up with Felix, like I was talking that they were very abstract at the beginning, but then when for the first time it was supposed to be a single group of characters that share common traits, my original idea was to make them feel a little like weird, like. The cute thing sort of came naturally because my weird coincided with cute for people. But when I was first coming up with those characters, they were supposed to be like maybe like weirdly cute. And we have some characters that I hope will be able to embody that feeling that you're supposed to like this character, but he also sort of looks strange. But that's just my piece of cake about that. Piece of cake. That's not how you're supposed to say this. My 2 words about that. But Claudia, you mostly said everything about this. You also kind of, I think, said everything that we could say about this slide. I think because in here maybe we could. Those are just examples of clothes, basically. I'm not going to keep this up. Those are just examples of clothes that we came up with.
I can add some to it.
Please do.
Yeah, the stream has a bit of delay, so I had to wait a second to see the slide you were talking about, but now I see it. And yeah, this concept stage, when we were designing some clothes, we were trying to figure out, okay, so what can pass as what kind of clothes in the culture so that we can make something not too alien for the player to just be able to pick up the kind of schematic for clothes and the kind of role said schematic for clothes serves in Phallic society and worlds, because like fashion is kind of underrated for when you just think about stuff and how it can be used to tell a story. So we've had a lot of brainstorming about like what kind of stuff could fly. So for example, we've got like those thick coats that you could say, you know, wearing fur is in human societies like something of a status symbol because it's for rich people, because maybe if you're wearing like maybe if you're wearing a nightgown, because this is something between like a fur coat and a nightgown, the first one, then maybe it's more casual and home-like. And well, Phalanx don't really utilize real fur, so they would not be considering it a luxury item because it's not made of luxury materials like that. So instead, they serve a much different flex symbol. So for creatures that have fur and they are wearing thick coats, it has to be used in a very specific purpose. So this is kind of a flex item for different reasons, and that kind of thought process goes pretty much into anything. So we try to conceptualize.
Yes, and I think it's also maybe important to mention that we sort of, I think, we never talked about it, but maybe we sort of did this, that we used Ward's clothing, which I came up with very early, as you could see from the presentation before, as a sort of a baseline, because Ward is already dressed like that, and we had to assign some sort of a status to Ward and to his clothes. And by comparing other characters to him, we can sort of create this ladder, this social ladder of characters by clothes designs. And I think I'm just very thankful that I created very simple clothes for Ward, because he can sort of serve as this baseline. But I just thought about it right now, because like I said, it's a lot of creating stuff like that just is based on how we feel about it.
And luckily it fit into Ward's character as well, because with what we were writing and we were thinking about Ward all this time, we just figured, hey, actually, this is pretty great. Ward is dressed accordingly to his character. He's an oddball.
Yes, and he's weirdly dressed. Although I do have to mention, since this is a not that formal of a stream, I based his clothes on my clothes. Like I have a very similar jacket to Ward's. It's very like used right now, but maybe I will pull it out someday.
You can pull out. You can do a Ward impromptu cosplay at some point.
Okay, I can just put on the same clothes and maybe someone will notice. I think that would be very funny. But yeah, that's. I mean, those are things we were rehearsing this presentation yesterday, and Claudia said something that I think is very true. We could talk about those things we could be talking for 12 hours until we basically drop dead or asleep. Because we have so much written about the culture of the Felix, we have so many ideas that are not yet written, but they sort of exist in our heads. That sometimes it's even kind of difficult to boil it down to anything. Claudia is good at it, I'm terrible at it. Yeah, I think we are going to cut this segment here. This is kind of a technical thing, but that you've already seen if you've been following the game. If you haven't been following it, we have special kind of portraits for our characters when you are talking to them. They are close-ups, and this ties to what Claudia said before, that the characters need to be very small sprites on the screen. This is something that actually helps with that, because when you are talking with someone, you will be able to see him in bigger, or her in bigger resolution, or it. And this allows us to actually show the details of the clothes, of the face, of the ears and nose and hands and everything, and also put a lot more emotion into the game, because in the demo the dialogue portraits, as we call them, as I think they are called, just they were very small. It was just the face, and it was fitting into the dialogue box. I do not have it here right now. I was supposed to create some comparisons, but I forgot. But yeah, right now we are going with the visual novel stylized dialogue portraits, and here are some early sketches of those portraits for Ward and for Mati, who was a star of our previous update post that maybe you recognize, or maybe you will recognize in the future. And the one on the right is another character that is fairly unimportant. So I don't think there's anything to add on this.
But he's having a smoke. He welcomes you in the game world.
Yes, he's having a smoke. You can also see the cigarette he's smoking is also like a special kind of cigarette, because there's you have this cigarette holder, and then there's something burning into it. But that existed in the real world. That's basically a pipe.
I like to think they're just smoking pine needles. Imagine the smell.
Yeah, they have different things that they smoke. I will make sure to give some lore on that in the game itself. And here are some just freestyle Felix that we have. The paint drawing, the Microsoft Paint drawing, is an idea for Felix glasses, because I was having a problem with how they should look, and Claudia did this drawing to help me, and I just thought it was very cute, so I wanted to show it to all of you. But yeah, those are just Felix. I like them. Maybe I hope you like them as well. Oh, that's something that's maybe for later.
They are likable. You don't have to be so coy about it. Yeah, those are Felix. They are many things. They are cute. They are cool. They are our characters. We are doing our best to write them good. You will like them.
That's true, actually. That's what I should have said. I think everyone should like them, but I'm just a very shy person. But I try to create a good game so that everyone will like it. We'll create a good game with all of you. And here you can see some of creating, well, I hope a good game. Those are some images of my rotoscopy process. This is an animation that's...
Get over the zooming word at
Yeah.
light speed.
The animation is playing really, really fast, but actually it's an animation. I'm on camera, so I could maybe stand up for a second. This is supposed to be an animation of Ward breaking through doors. And he's breaking through doors and he's falling through them. And I didn't know how to animate it from just my head. I'm not that good of an animator. So what I did was I actually recorded myself performing this motion, and it actually worked very well. I know it's an old trick, and people have been doing it for like I think over 100 years now. I think, but it's just fun, and it sometimes really helps you with drawing. And the thing on the top is just one of the hundreds of thousands. Well, maybe not hundreds of thousands, but definitely hundreds of drawings that we have to make. I could talk half a day about what it's supposed to be. And on the topic of rotoscopy, is that how it's spelled? I hope it is. This is a setup, a contraption, if you will, that I've made for rotoscoping items. For when you are opening your inventory in the game, you can see rotating sprites of items. And I also didn't really know how to do that when I was working last year. And I went to my kitchen and I had a microwave in there, and something in my mind clicked, wait, microwave rotates things. So I basically pulled out the mechanism from the microwave and I drew a dial on it, and I placed it on a cake holder.
You got a microwave for this? Oh my god, I thought it was like a cake spinner or something.
No, I was able to put it back together after this, but I had to. It was quite a lot of work to clean it up but yeah, it worked, and it allowed me to spin items, like so, and it's. Well, the GIF is freaking out. You have to pardon me, but that's basically how it looked, and it allowed me to spin items with, like, controlled, in a controlled way, so that it would translate to frames well. And that's just one of many cases where doing something in the real world can help you with drawing things in the computer, because yeah, it basically just does. Here you can see a result of, well, the GIFs are freaking out, but you can sort of see what's happening. The bottles are spinning, and the bottle has been rotoscoped, like so. Let's talk about music, just for a while, because the music in Ghost of Fall is a very important aspect of what we are making. Earlier we were talking about the world building and the story, and those things are like the main pillar of the game, and everything else we make has to serve the feelings that the game is supposed to evoke. And music, it's nothing new. That is a very effective and very powerful tool of making people feel how you want them to feel. So we put a lot of work into making the music, and what I came up with was engaging my band, Felkai, it's called, to work with me on this soundtrack. You can see our photos here. I am also in that band, and it helps because I can compose tracks and then we workshop them together. We have quite a lot of experience making music. Personally, I have been making video game music, as I mentioned at the very beginning of this presentation, for over 10 years now. This year, the beginning of this year marked the 10th anniversary of me making stuff like that. I'm proud of that, so I wanted to mention it here. But we also make non-video game music. You can maybe listen to that sometime, but no pressure. We have accumulated a lot of equipment for making music, as you can see on the bottom there. and we are hoping to utilize a lot of real instruments in the game. We have a great guitarist, we have a great saxophone player, I can play the flute. Just, we really want to make the soundtrack feel like something not just that plays in the game, but also something that people would like to listen just on its own, which is a hard thing. I'm not sure if we'll be able to succeed, maybe not. That's like a additional goal. But we have a very solid musical background. We have Alan. And this is the same Alan who made the concept art for us. He's an architect, he's a concept artist, he's a guitarist, he's a very busy man. But he's a great guitarist and he adds a lot of feeling to the game. And you could already hear some of his work earlier, and you can find it on our channel. And I think Alan is a huge addition to this, but also my brother is, which you can see also on our photos on the left. And the music there will be a lot of music in Ghost of Fall, because I really love writing soundtrack for every single thing in the game. Like, you are going to have I'm shooting for around 100 tracks for the whole soundtrack, but that's just guesswork for now. But I know that it's going to be long. That's everything. Music it's best to just listen to music. Talking about it is hard, but I hope you... Oh, my camera just turned off. Maybe I will change the battery in a second. And now I will have a good opportunity for that, because now is the time for Mateusz to talk about how he actually makes the game, because we have been talking all about drawing and making music and stuff like that, but that's not making video games in the end. Video games are made in those strange programs where you put everything together and it sort of doesn't look like anything, but then it plays well. Mateusz, how do you do that?
Well, the backend of making a video game is actually the least interesting thing in this presentation and in game dev. So let's make this segment pretty quick. But I don't know how I make it. Sometimes I just open the software and I have no idea what is happening. So yeah, but in the spirit of the game, which is very strange, happening in a strange world, we are also using a very unusual software, which is Click Fusion, which is pretty archaic software because it has like 20 or so years. But it's great for us actually, because as you can see, Ghost of Fall is kind of retro game, and it's actually retro game because everything we make in the game is low resolution. We use really old techniques. For example, we don't really have scale zooming in the game, so we basically scale everything so it's small and it just looks like
there's no camera object like in Unity.
We don't, the Click Fusion doesn't even have a camera object, so we have a lot of experiments and yeah, sometimes our chats with Tomek are just trying to make stuff work in Click Fusion, which is really hard.
And it also can be very frustrating. If you would ever see us talking about this, there's a lot of questionable language. Maybe I should.
We can't really show you this because we want to appear as a sane people.
Well, sort of.
But we talk a lot of bad stuff about Click Fusion, but we actually, everything that is behind the Ghost of Fall is made in Click Fusion.
We really love it.
even all the dialogues, or everything basically is made in Click Fusion, because for example, we didn't really know how to make a dialogue system in the game, and I actually thought about using Excel for this, and then I thought, why won't I make my own Excel in Click Fusion? So we are having a dialogue software made in Click Fusion by me for the game, also made in Click Fusion.
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
separate program that when I want to like put in a dialogue into the game, I often just sit in this and write stuff in. Although this particular thing that is right now on the screen is actually for the journal system. That also works that way. That you just, as you can see, write everything in here as separate lines, and then the computer interprets it in such a way which, again, I'm sorry for interrupting. It's something that
no, it's okay.
something that Mateusz has a lot more to say about, but I just wanted to stress how cool it is, because it's kind of, Mateusz is sort of downplaying it, but it's to me very impressive that we basically, apart from Clicked Infusion, we are we are able to create everything from scratch, and also learn a whole lot while making it, especially Mateusz, but I also learned a lot about how making video games work from just watching him create all this stuff. And the next slide is actually a very good example of that. Mateusz, do you have something to explain this, what we are looking at right now?
I don't really want to explain because it looks terrible, but it works.
I mean,
And
it looks familiar, because there are a lot of programs that work in such a way that you just create those dialogue trees. And before Mateusz bravely volunteered to create this all from scratch, we were looking at some other possible options, and there are some programs that do this for you, but none of them were really compatible with Clicked Infusion. So again, we were sort of
something we can be proud of, because like every software we are using for making the game is made from scratch by us.
well, you can tell that. I can't tell that.
Yeah.
I don't draw in my own software.
Yeah.
That would be sort of insane, actually. But yeah, the game is made by us on all
Yeah,
levels.
this was like a very impressive response to basically a need, because like, yeah, you could input those things by hand and like just roll with it, but it would be hell. So oi, we need a system for the dialogue. Say no more develops a whole engine tool, you know, that's cracked. But it was important. Without it, I can't imagine actually inputting all of the dialogues into the game by hand with every single one.
Because there's a lot of dialogue in the game, and I remember thinking about inputting all of it by hand, and basically the response was by Mateusz's response was basically no, we are not doing it by hand. No way. And the program went through some versions. It used to look worse, but right now it looks good. I think it looks good.
The previous version looked actually just like Microsoft Excel, to be honest.
Yeah, I remember that, but I don't really. Maybe let's not show that, because I don't have it. And this is how it looks when it's put into the game. This is also from from an update post that we have uploaded 2 months ago or a month ago. Time flies really quick when you are making a video game. I sometimes don't know what month it is, but yeah, it just works, and you could already see it work. We are drawing near the end of the presentation, and right now we want to talk just for a short while about what we are hoping to achieve with this game. What do we want to do in the future? What are our hopes and dreams about this? To be poetic about it. So, we are currently in a situation where we lack some stuff and we also have a lot of stuff. Although I do believe that our position is good, because what we lack is, well, we lack money, but we lack money only because we lack time. We don't need to buy like anything to create this game other than just the possibility to be working on it full time. Because otherwise we pretty much have everything. We also don't have a good way of reaching people with what we are creating. But we are not trying not to worry about that too much right now. We are trying to focus on what we have, what we do have, and we do have a fully functional team of developers. It's a small team, but with our skills combined, we can basically create anything we want for the game in the scope that we've accepted for it. We have an idea that we have been working for a very long time, and right now we are at the point where we are confident that it's a good idea, that it's an idea that we want to keep working on, because it's fun and it's good and it's potentially moving for people who are going to play it in the future. That's very important to me and to all of us, I believe. We have a good approach to working on the game. We just like spending a lot of time working on it. We try not to overwork ourselves, because it can also be sort of terrible, but wherever I can, whenever I have a free day, I like to just sit for 8 or 10 or 12 hours drawing stuff. And I know Mateusz does the same. I know Claudia, despite being very busy, also tries to spend as much time as she can. And that's the key here. As much time as we can, we spend on the game. We would just like to have more of that time. And we are, all three of us are very confident that this is just what we want to be doing in this life. That it's a good thing to spend your time with, and hopefully not just for us, but hopefully it will be a good thing for people to enjoy once we are done. We would be very happy to give this game to the world, and we hope that people would like it as well. And that is a good time for the 6 of you that are watching right now. If you have any questions for us, if you have anything that you would like to know, right now is a great time to ask those questions, because we are just going to answer them right away. So how about we just wait for a second? I'm going to mute myself for a short while, but I'm going to be here. Just 20 seconds. Should you have no questions for us, and that is all right. It's not like it's a necessary thing for us.
We can just run our mouths and talk about anything we like. This is the perfect time for us. Hooray! So, I don't know, do you want to... Is there anything outside of the presentation that you would like to talk about? Because I can think of a few things that I haven't mentioned.
We haven't mentioned the fights that we want to put into the game. I realized, like, mid-presentation, I realized that we have talked a lot about the story, which is a thing that I really love and I feel very confident about, but we also have the fight aspect, the action aspect of the game, because we do list our game as an action adventure on Steam, and there is a lot of action there, and some of you might remember, if you played the demo version, that the action has been a little bit overwhelming there, because we have had the one Ras fight that was way too difficult, and almost nobody was able to finish it, and we were very amused but also sort of ashamed of people who were sharing their experiences, and they were just saying, how is this possible? How did you people even finish this? And we did finish it. At least I did, for sure, and Mateusz did. I think, Claudia, you sort of struggled with the fight, didn't you?
I didn't finish it, but you know, I know it can be explained, like the level of difficulty, and I can tell you that from working as a game tester, that the level of difficulty as a developer and somebody who replays stuff over and over and over, you kind of lose sight, you lose track of how difficult things really are, because I remember when you were developing the fight, you guys were posting in the channel what I would consider launch codes. And you were practically
Okay.
fine-tuning every little tiny aspect, timing, and etc. of the game. If I know what's if I assume correctly, right? So you had a lot of retries, and you practically fine-tuned everything for like the way you play and the way. And you comprehended everything start to finish. You knew what to prepare for, so it was easy for you. However, everyone else did not have the same kind of
yes, because
replayability.
we were creating, and we are still going to be creating, because that's a very efficient way, but we are making the fight a millisecond by millisecond, because everything that happens during the fight is synced with the music in one way or another, and we don't have any magical engine for that. We just need to. I basically, what I did was, I would open Audacity with the music track, and I would dictate to Mateusz the milliseconds where stuff is happening. Right now, attack. Right now, end of the phase. Right now, dialogue. Right now, dialogue ends, and etc. And exactly what you were saying. Because of that, we had a very good idea of what's supposed to be happening, because we were constantly playtesting. And this led to the fight being borderline impossible. because because other people didn't have that foresight. And I still remember watching, because some people recorded their gameplays onto YouTube, and some people were also streaming their experiences with the game. And I remember just watching, and I was so amused and ashamed of myself when I was watching people on their 17th try, like 100th try of the fight, and barely getting to the half of it, and they were like, is this going to end now? Is this going to end? And I knew that this was barely the half of the whole thing, but it was also, I know that for some people it was very satisfying to get through it, which is also an experience that we need to keep in mind, that we cannot make the game in response, we cannot make the game too easy, because then we will be taken away from the people who enjoy the challenge. So the challenge for us right now is to find some sort of a pleasant middle ground between it being impossible and it being just nothing, so that you just get in and just play and pass it in one try, because that's going to suck. I like difficult games. I like making games that you need to try a lot of times to finish it, but
You'll just need playtests, really. Like, you still can make things difficult. You just need to strike the right balance. And also, we have some questions on Q&A. Would you look at them?
Yes.
On the Discord.
Radra has asked us a question. Wait, I'm hearing... Can you hear that? Because I'm hearing some... I'm sorry.
Okay, maybe it's my microphone.
I have some... It might be... No, it's not your microphone. It's on my end. Wait a second. Because I'm having some audio trouble. It's my amplifier. It's acting up.
all the struggles
Oh.
of practically having your home be a studio is everything is
I just had to
high
unplug.
tech.
I just had to unplug my headphones and plug them in again, and it's working. Radra has asked a question: is there a specific feeling or emotion you're trying to convey to your players through this game, or maybe a message? That is a very good question. That is something that me and Claudia were talking about. It was yesterday, and there is a feeling that I'm trying to convey, and I need to preface what I'm going to say with I generally, when I create anything I do, I try to think with emotions. What kind of way do I want somebody to feel when they are experiencing some form of art? But the problem is, it's very difficult for me to put it into words. I'm much better at putting it into sounds and images. But, well, you need to learn to do that, so I will try to do that right now because I've been practicing. The feeling that I'm mostly interested in Ghost of Fall is the feeling of facing something something much bigger than yourself, something that just it's almost ephemeral, something that you almost cannot see because it's too big for you and it's too complicated and it's too difficult to even understand. And then finding yourself in those conditions and finding yourself in that situation, and somehow through just feeling your way out, making the best of the conditions that you found yourself in, which is something that is happening toward. And the message that I'm trying to send out with the game, I do have a very specific kind of a message. It's, I mean, not specific, it's also feeling based, but I feel like I don't want to say it right now because I really don't want to spoil the way that people will experience the game in the future.
But you can't be too afraid of spoiling the game if you're trying to pitch it and you're trying to tell people what to expect. I don't think that would be too big of a spoiler.
Well, I think you're right, but only because I'm very vague about anything I say. So
Look, this is where we mask off. This is the one time you cannot be vague. You have
okay,
to.
okay. So the message that I'm going to try and send out to people with Ghost of Fall is a message of just finding yourself in this world and not being afraid of this very strange and difficult world that you are finding yourself in, because both Ward in his life in Ghost of Fall and, well, all of us right now, we are in a strange world. We are living in situations that are difficult, that are beyond our control most of the time. But I like to believe that there is hope in all of that. That there's still, you can impact the world in a positive way. And I just want it to be a positive game, an uplifting experience. It won't be good all the time because otherwise it would be naive, and I don't want it to be naive. But I want it to be something that when you finish the game, you feel happier and better about yourself. And
I think it's a. I think I'm sorry to cut into your words, but I think there is a very nice way of putting it, and I think the emotion that mainly is there are like three emotions mainly in the game. One is the feeling of unease and the discomfort, slight discomfort that's just something lurking in the background, despite being in a fairly comfortable place. So, like, Ward does not exactly belong. Something sinister is brewing. Maybe not sinister, but not something evil specifically. This is what I'm going to stay vague on. But something's off, and as you've said, something much bigger than Ward, something much bigger than yourself is looming in the distance, and he's pretty much has to deal with it. So I won't say, I wouldn't say anxiety. I would just say unease and uncertainty
I would
mixed
say
with curiosity.
And I just want to add very quickly that the title of the game is not without reason, and I'm not going to elaborate on that.
Okay, that is that's true. Now you mention it, yeah.
So, again, sorry for interrupting because I think you weren't finished, or maybe you were.
No, I think I was about to finish. I think this is an important emotion. The journey of being uncomfortable, returning home, not finding everything as you left it, feeling not exactly at peace, and having things thrown your way. Life gets chaotic. Life gets strange, and then oh,
Yeah, it
my screen.
disappeared for a second, but it's back.
Okay, and and then being able to still have a remain of hope in you, and getting that having that hope take you further than simply backing off would take you. So that's the hopeful message, despite the unease,
Yeah.
that you can overcome it.
That's a very nice way to put it. Like I said, you are usually much better at putting those things into words than I could ever be, and that's what's great about.
That's because you're the main creator, and I came to the team and pretty much was able um to get a second perception. I think that's important.
Yeah.
So
I hope that answered your question, Rudra. I hope that was the kind of an answer that you were expecting, because that's our way of answering that. Now we also have another question from a very a very important question. When are we going to add pirates to the game? We are aware that pirates have been on the roadmap, and the roadmap is we do love the roadmap. Roadmap has been a very powerful image that has been sent our way. We are thankful for it.
we could talk about the logistics of Felak pirates, but we would have to do a brainstorming right here and
Yeah,
now.
because I have to say we have been thinking since the roadmap has been sent, how can we somehow smuggle something from the roadmap into every single update? But we have been bested by the pirates. We have no idea how are we going to add pirates into the game. For now, maybe
We'll find out. We'll find a way.
yeah. But we will definitely be thinking about that, and we will also be thinking about the rest of the roadmap. For now, we are just very happy that the roadmap for May, which is right now, has not turned out to be nothing like the roadmap predicted. We hope this isn't nothing. But yeah, those are the answers that we have. Thank you for loving our game. Kublai. I don't know how it's spelled, but thank you for the kind words.
And
I think we're talking about the fights. Maybe I want to say just a few more words about the fights and before we are done, and then we'll say some closing statements and we'll be done. I just wanted to say that. Or maybe not. I'm kind of. I don't know if I have anything to say about the fights for now. The fights are going to be fun. That's what I'm going to tell you. Oh, another question. Another question. We are going to answer it. For difficult fights, how do you surprise the player with new mechanics without creating a trial and error mechanic fight? That is a very good question that we think about a lot. We are now creating, well, I don't want to spoil too much, but we are right now focusing on one very particular fight in the game. Well, actually I can say that it's the first fight in the game, and we are trying to come up with ideas on how to properly telegraph the player with what is going to happen in the future and create some sort of a how do you say it? Like I'm lacking words right now. What I wanted to say is that we are trying to find some way of creating a base for every fight, so that the player has a very strictly determined set of movements that he can use, and then create some sort of attacks that, well, they can be new, but they are not new in the way that you have no idea what's going to happen. What we are trying to do is create some sort of system that will make sure that the player just technically can avoid what's happening, but it's not always going to be easy to do first try. In the end, we have to take some, like I said, we do need to find some sort of a trade-off between making it too easy and the trial and error thing is a very...
Yeah, I think both. I think also Bo probably meant here something of a random element to the fights, so that things are not predetermined. So that if you, let's say, lose at a particular moment or get stuck in one moment of the fight, how can we remedy the fact that the player will have to continue replaying said fight and pretty much encounter the same hurdle over and over again? So do we have a way of stopping that from happening?
Did we have some sort of idea about this, Mateusz? Because I'm at a little bit of a loss for words right now, because the fights are still work in progress, and I think it's a problem that we have sort of don't have a solution to that right now. I'm going to be very honest. We are focusing right now on making the fights just feel good.
So we're working on the mechanics, or the raw mechanics, but not the composition of the fights yet, because this isn't something that we haven't brought up yet. I remember.
Well,
Yeah.
the one thing we can actually say about making less random elements in fights is just better systems of indicators, not like in demo.
Yeah, because in the demo we just had the exclamation mark and you had no idea what it meant, and then basically it meant that you just need to lose HP in that point of the fight to learn what's going to happen, and that's, I believe, what's the biggest problem that we faced in fights, that people just had no idea what they even have to do. And the way I see it right now is we might not focus too much on making the fights random and different in every approach, but we might focus on making the one way that the fight will play out just feel really nice, because there are games that work that way, and where you just have one map that you need to get through, and it's always the same map, but it feels good playing through it, because it doesn't work in a way of just, okay, get here and die 30 times in that one spot to learn what you need to do. We have taken very seriously the problem of people having to replay the fights, even if they are good, even if they are good at games like that, and that felt really bad. So what we want to do right now is to make sure that if a really good player comes around, like someone who really is born to play this game, he will just be able to win first try. And that is my answer to that question. We just want to make one fight that will feel great to everyone and feel fair, most importantly. Right now we are not thinking about making the fights different in every approach, because, well, quite frankly, we have no idea how that could even work and feel good, because the attacks are very handmade, and the layout of the fight is also very handmade. So
there are ways to remedy this with things like adjustable difficulty, so like decreasing the amount of attacks after a player has died X times in a particular point of the playthrough, and you could even add a scoring system to that. So like if you beat it, let's say first try or something, then the game will be the most difficult, and then you can get the highest score. So I don't know. There are ways to probably do this, but whether that will be needed is probably going to come up during playtesting and actually finding out how the gameplay feels. So for now, we have to just develop fun mechanics. Then we need to compose a specific fight, and then we need to do playtesting to
Yes,
find out what's next.
we will definitely need a lot of help with that, because the demo was play tested by some people, but when the demo was play tested, we pretty consistently get responses that it's just too hard, too difficult, and for some reason we just decided, yeah, those people just can't play, and it came back to bite us. So right now we are not planning on repeating that mistake. The fights are going to be feel good, even if it's going to cost us a lot of effort and a lot of time. And that's the best answer that I can provide right now, that we can provide for that question, which I hope is somewhat satisfying. And thank you, Bo, for the question. And yeah, I think that is pretty much all for now. We can wait for maybe like a minute or so in case anybody comes up with some kind of a question, but if not, then we will be saying our goodbyes very soon. So maybe while we are waiting, I will say in very simple words right now what are the plans for what we are going to be making, for what we are going to be doing right now. Basically, the last few days we have been focusing on making the stream work. I have been making this little overlay that you can see over there. I have been making sure that things work and things look good and sound good. But after we are done, and we will probably be going to sleep in a while because it's very late here when we are streaming, and then we'll just get back to work. We have a lot of stuff to do in the part of the game that we are making right now. We are still working on the fight, and it's coming along nicely. As far as the raw fight is considered without the adjustments, I'm really happy with what's going on right now. It's a little bit of a turbulent time for all of us because, without getting too personal, all of us right now are in a situation where we sort of have a little less time, but nevertheless, all of us still work. Oh, Claudia, you have a question for us. That's very kind of you. If you could add...
Yeah, just came up to me. I can read my own question.
You can.
Tomek and Ravioli, if you could add one thing to the game without worrying about workloads, technicalities, etc., what would you love to see or add to the game?
Pirates.
So you're on board with Bo on that one?
I just love the idea of pirates.
I also love the idea of pirates. I'm also trying to, because that's a good question, and I think I'm going to go with because assuming we could have anything, then I think I would come back to my original idea that I had for this game, and the idea was to have it be an open world kind of a game where you can just, there are places where you need to go, but you can basically go anywhere you want, and it's a very big world, and everywhere there's something that you can interact with. That's my dream with this, not with this game because that's outside of our reach right now, but I would love someday to show you the world of Ghost of Fall, the city of Taro in its like entirety, even if it was some sort of a walking simulator for just sightseeing, and maybe also in 3D. But that's like I said, if we are talking with wishes, then that is my wish, to just be able to show this world actually living. But that's difficult even with AAA budget. So yeah, I'm just going way out there with my answer.
Okay, thank you so much for answering. And it seems like
It seems like we are over.
In the last one.
I'm very happy with how the stream turned out. I'm very glad that we were able to like talk for so long. It's very nice. I'm also very happy that you made it, Claudia, because I was very worried, but it actually turned out very nice in the end.
Late hours I kind of struggled with, but I'm also very happy I was able to make it on time. I'm sorry about being a little late.
It's not a problem. So we're happy. We hope that you're happy. I can see that Bo is writing something. Maybe he also has one more question. We have time for one more question. We have time for more, probably. But let's be realistic here. Thank you for the kind words, Manny. It's nice to see that people enjoyed it. I have to say, because the stream is coming to an end, I'm very happy that we had people watching all the time through. Even today, before we started, I was expecting, there's probably going to be 0 or like 1 or 2 people watching. And that would have been fine too. We appreciate everyone, but I'm surprised that we have had people watching all the time. And to whoever watched all of this, I'm thankful. I live for people like you. I'm making this game for people who actually care about it and are interested in what we are doing. That's
every time there is an update, Tomek's always excited about people's reactions. Like even a single comment can get him like so very giddy. It gives him power for like a whole week sometimes. So
exactly, and it's also, I always think about, we don't know the future. Maybe in the future this is going to become like a bigger thing. I don't know. I would love it to, but if it ever does, I am trying to cherish the times right now when we have a small group of fans, but whenever one of you actually says something or like asks a question or just writes some feedback, I'm so just extremely happy to be able to like see it all. And when we got our first fan art, actually we got a first fan art some time ago, but one of you, I don't know if you're here right now, but if you are here, I would love to. Wait, who did that? Who did that piece of fan art? I want to say it. I want to like be on camera saying thanks.
It was Relma.
Yes, Relma. When I said that this made my day, I really wasn't joking. I was like going around like jumping out of happiness because you draw that word. I love him. Bo, thank you for the first time fights being.
I'll read for the people who don't have access to
Discord.
Discord.
Yes, please do that.
Bo wrote, "Thank you for the considerate answers. It was very reassuring hearing the attitude towards first-time fights being theoretically possible should someone play perfectly. The communication about the game and direction is really fun and keeps it alive."
I'm super happy to hear that. We are all very happy to hear that, and I'm happy that we were able to answer that question somewhat reasonably. And I think I already said everything I have to say, but I always feel like I need to repeat that I'm very happy with how this turned out, and I'm very happy with all of you. I'm very happy with our game, and I'm just a happy man. I will be going to sleep today as a happy man, and that's in the end what I like to get out of this game. It would be great to have like fame and money, but that comes second. What I really care about is just being happy with what we are making, and right now I have it, and I feel like I don't need anything else, quite frankly.
Yeah, for everyone into the project and and who wants to see frequent updates, like the best way to fuel this game is pretty much just letting Tomek know what he's doing, what we're doing, is how they feel about it, and I think this is going to sustain our happy man practically.
Yes, and if any of you watching, I suspect all of you are on our Discord server. But if any one of you is not on our Discord server, then I encourage you to get there because that's
The link should be in the description, right?
yes, it is in the description. It's basically plastered everywhere because I really want people in that Discord server.
It's a very chill little Discord. Not much is going on, so if someone's concerned about getting a lot of messy Discord message spam like with most server, shouldn't be a problem here.
Yes,
Not only it's small, we also have a special role for the people who want specific updates, so
exactly.
they will only be pinged on maybe once a month, like we're currently doing for the monthly updates. So.
And in case you are someone watching this in the future and you didn't get to ask a question right now, you can just get on the Discord server, and the nice thing is it's small enough that you are guaranteed to get an answer from us.
Yeah, the Q&A channel is always open, and we are paying close attention, so...
Exactly.
See you there, or see you here.
And thank you for listening to our presentation. It was a pleasure to talk to all of you, and we hope that it has been a pleasure to everyone. But from your feedback, we can safely assure that it has been. And that's good. And that
Thank you so much, people.
That would be it.
So good night for those in the in our timeline, and
good day for those.
Well.
Good day to everyone, basically. Have a nice something. That's how I usually talk to people, because when I'm talking to people in different time zones, you're definitely having a something right now, so let it be a nice one.
Great rest, great sleep, or great coffee.
Yes. So yeah, it's a good night from me.